Here's something that'll blow your mind in ancient Jerusalem. There was a community that completely eliminated poverty among its members, not through government mandate, but through radical voluntary sharing. And we're talking thousands of people here.
That's fascinating. How did they manage something that even modern societies struggle with?
Well, this was around 30 AD, and these early Christians created this incredible system where everyone shared everything they owned. We're talking about people literally selling their houses and lands to help others in need.
But wasn't that basically an early form of communism?
That's what makes this so interesting. It was completely different. Everything was voluntary, and it came from this deep spiritual unity they called being of one heart and one soul. No government forcing anyone to do anything.
So what triggered this whole movement? Something must have sparked such a dramatic lifestyle change.
You know what's fascinating? It started with a practical problem. Thousands of people had come to Jerusalem for this religious festival called Pentecost, and suddenly they're staying way longer than planned. The text mentions at least 5,000 men, plus women and children. That's a massive number for an ancient city.
Well, that must have created some serious logistical challenges. How did they handle it?
They actually developed this sophisticated distribution system. At first, the apostles managed everything themselves, but it got so big they had to appoint specific people to handle it, kind of like running a massive ancient non-profit.
Let me guess, they probably had to deal with people trying to cheat the system too.
Oh man, there's this wild story about that. This couple, Ananias and Sapphira, sold some property and pretended to give all the money to the community, while secretly keeping some back. Both of them dropped dead on the spot for lying about it.
That seems like a pretty extreme consequence for what we'd consider a minor offence today.
Right, but here's what's really interesting. This wasn't just about sharing money. These people were sharing their entire lives. They ate together daily, worshipped together, met in each other's homes. The text says they did everything with gladness and singleness of heart.
You know what strikes me about this? In our age of social isolation, this kind of intentional community seems almost impossible to imagine.
And yet, get this, they had favour with all the people. Even though their beliefs were super controversial, something about their lifestyle was deeply attractive to outsiders. The community kept growing daily because people wanted to be part of it.
So their way of life became a form of outreach.
Exactly. And it wasn't just the sharing, there were these incredible signs and wonders happening through the apostles. The text doesn't give us all the details, but we know there were healings and other miraculous events that authenticated their message.
That combination of supernatural events and radical generosity must have been pretty powerful.
You know what really gets me thinking? While we might not be able to replicate everything they did, there are some profound principles here about genuine community that seem more relevant than ever in our individualistic society.
So how would you even begin to apply something like this today?
Or maybe it starts with changing how we think about ownership. These early believers didn't consider anything they had as belonging solely to them. Everything was viewed through the lens of how it could benefit others.
That's quite a shift from our current what's mine is mine mentality.
And here's the kicker: the text mentions that great grace was upon them all. Maybe that's the real key. This kind of radical sharing isn't something we can manufacture through systems or rules. It flows from experiencing grace ourselves.
So perhaps the real question isn't about copying their model, but about letting our experience of grace overflow into genuine care for others.
Exactly. And in our world of increasing isolation and division, maybe that's exactly the kind of countercultural community we need to be building.